They say in the heart of the forest that surrounds Aquamosi village, there lies a drum that beats itself at midnight. And when it beats, someone in the village dies before sunrise. No one knows who strikes the drum, for the man who owned it, Kojo Badu, the greatest drummer the land had ever known, had disappeared with it 20 years ago. Kojo Badu wasn't just a drummer. His hands could make the talking drum speak words only spirits understood. He was a proud man, too proud. During the festivals, he would boast that his drum could make a liar confess and the witch flee. The elders warned him, Kojo, the drum is not for truth, it is for praise. But Kojo did not listen. One night, he played his drum under a full moon and chanted, let the spirits reveal the evil among us. Before dawn, 3 villagers confessed to witchcraft. Amongst them was the first wife of the chief elder, Anika. Anika was very pretty, but a Jezebel. The whole village feared her even more than the chief elder or the king. It was no news that the source of the chief elder's wealth was as a result of him getting married to Anika. And now Anika had confessed to being a witch. The whole village was quiet. Everyone feared the chief elder and Anika, so no one spoke. But they all knew what was coming next. The next morning, the cries and shouts from the house of the chief elder woke up the whole village. Anika was dead. All 3 witches were found dead, their tongues blackened and their ears bleeding. The people were terrified. They said Kojo's drum had opened the door between the living and the dead. The chief elder had ordered Kojo never to play again, but Kojo refused, and now the unthinkable had happened 3 weeks after that. Silence. Kojo's house was empty. He never married or had kids, so there was no one to ask what had happened to him. Rumors began to fly. Perhaps the witches had killed Kojo. Perhaps he decided to run away after killing so many people. It is funny how people forget history so soon. Even the market women ran their mouths. Some even said, all the people Kojo killed were innocent, and now the spirits have taken him. So Kojo, both man and instrument, disappeared. That night, thunder rolled across Aquamufi, and the drums of the living went silent. 20 years passed. Children grew. The story of Kojo became a whisper mothers used to frighten stubborn children. Until one night, the night after the harvest festival, a faint drumming began. Ta-ton, tau. At first, people thought it was the wind or the pounding of pestles in some distant house. But the sound grew louder, coming from the direction of the graveyard. The chief sent 2 brave hunters, Queasy and Yaw, to find the source. They took their torches and walked through the mist. The drumming continued slow, steady, and hollow, like it came from under the earth. When they reached the baobab tree, the ground was trembling. And there, right before them, a drum half buried in soil, glowing faintly. Yaw whispered, Queasy, that drum is breathing. Queasy stepped closer. His torch flickered. He knelt, and the drumming stopped. They ran back to the village, but by morning, Yaw was dead, found with his hands clenched as though he had been drumming in his sleep. The next night the drum sounded again, this time a rhythm that everyone recognized, the rhythm Kojo used to summon truth. Then came the voice, deep and broken. let the guilty confess before the drum dial. The people screamed and hid. The chief gathered the elders. Who among us still hides the truth? Kojo sought, he asked. No one spoke, but fear spread like fire. A widow named Ama Serwa confessed that she had once falsely accused Kojo to please her late husband. I lied to protect my family, she cried. The chief trembled. You are the reason he was buried with his drum. Ama knelt by the baobab tree that night, begging Kojo's spirit for forgiveness. The drumming stopped for a moment. Then suddenly it changed faster, angrier, as if something had been awakened instead of calmed. The ground cracked. The drum rose from the earth, and the voice thundered. Forgiveness cannot erase the curse, only truth can. Ama screamed as a hand skeletal and black with soil reached from the earth. But instead of dragging her down, it pointed toward the chief elder's compound. The villagers followed the direction of the hand and found an old chest buried behind the chief elder's hut. Inside were gold ornaments and a human skull wrapped in Kojo's old drumming cloth. The chief elder fell to his knees, trembling. It was me, he said. I killed Kojo. I envied his power. I buried him alive with his drum. The people gasped. The air turned cold. The drum began to sound again, louder than ever. The ground split open, and from the darkness, Kojo's spirit appeared, covered in red dust, eyes glowing like fireflies. He looked at the chief elder. You silenced my truth. Now your silence will speak. The chief screamed, fell to the ground, and died, his tongue turning black, just like the witches 20 years before. Then the spirit turned to Ama Serwa and whispered, You have freed me. The drum stopped. The night became still. At dawn, the villagers gathered by the baobab tree. The drum lay there, silent and cracked in half. A cool wind blew, and for the first time in years, birds sang again in Akwamufi. They buried the drum beside the chief, and a rainbow formed over the forest, something the village hadn't seen in decades. Born that day, they held a yearly festival called Akwontuo. The festival always begins where drummers play only during daylight, and the rhythm always begins with 3 slow beats of peace. And some nights, when the moon is full and the forest whispers, you can still hear a faint rhythm. But now, it carries no fear, only the echo of a man finally at rest. Truth buried will always rise, but forgiveness gives it peace.